Welcome to Lakeshore Focus, a weekly show highlighting important events, interesting people, and key issues in our region. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick. Do you know that phrase, I could do this job with my eyes closed? Well, our guests today live that adage every moment of their working hours. Even with their visual impairments, they are highly successful businessmen in the competitive field of industrial and commercial construction. Let's meet Ross Pangere, the president of the Ross Group in Portage, Indiana, and Steve Pangere, who is the president of the Pangere Corporation in Gary. So welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Thank
It's
you,
great
Keith.
to be here. Thanks.
Well, you know, the first thing, you guys are twins, right?
Yes.
So everybody's looking saying, how do I know which one of you is apart? So the first part of the show, we're going to have a debate on which one of you is the best looking and which one of you is the smartest. What do you think?
It won't take long.
Who do you think will win?
Well, since I'm the oldest, I think I'll win
Oldest by how many minutes?
by 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
You let him get over on
Age
that, Ross?
before beauty, Steve. Age before beauty.
Age before beauty. Okay, I can see this is going to be, we're going to be off and running here. So, you guys are from the region of, you were both born here, right?
Yes.
So, you both started in the family business, which has been around how long, Steve?
Over 105 years now.
105 years. And your grandfather started this
My
business?
grandfather started the business. He came from Greece when he was about 20 years old and actually started painting at U.S. Steel. We called it piecework. And then he began his business as a painting contractor.
And both of you guys have been in the construction business your whole life, right?
Our
Ross?
whole lives, yes.
So what led you to stay in the business? I mean, did at any point, I'm going to ask both of you this, did you feel like you had the option of like, I'm going to stay in the family business or get out? Or
I think we've always had options. It's not that we didn't have options, but, it was bred into us from the time we were young.
Well, we worked during the summers. We worked during the summers when we were going to high school and then college. And when I graduated from college, and I did have a couple interviews set up outside the business because I wasn't sure if that's what I wanted to do. My father said, come on down. Let's spend a couple of days and just help me out until you have your interview. Well, those couple of days turned into over 45 years.
wow. So did he make you an offer you couldn't refuse?
Well, minimum wage.
So
So we started off with a good wage, let's put it that
was it
way.
minimum wage, Ross, and all the coffee
You must have
drank,
got
or
paid
what?
more than I did.
Well, that's because you were younger, right?
That's what it was.
Okay. Now, you both are visual, I'm using visually impaired. Do you describe yourself as blind?
Sometimes.
Yes. I
Okay.
do. Yes.
So you do. How do you describe it, Ross?
I'm visually impaired, sometimes blind.
Explain to me what you can see or can't see, or, I mean, what's this look like from your world?
I said, well, right now I would say I have light perception. Depends on how close I am and what the lighting is in the room, from what I can see.
Okay, so you can see there's some light in here.
Yes.
Are you able to see my silhouette?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Steve?
About the same as Ross, but I think the light has a lot to do with what we can see. There are times that the light is just right, I would be able to see you a lot better,
Okay.
or see things on the table.
So if we'd turn the lights up even brighter, I'd look better? I'd be better looking?
That's debatable.
So now what's interesting is you have a seeing eye dog. Is that what that's called, right?
Yes, guide
Okay.
dog.
A guide dog. So you have a guide dog.
Yes.
And Ross, you still pretty much use the cane,
Yes.
right? So why did you choose to get a dog? And you only got this dog like 6 years ago?
4 years ago.
4 years ago? Okay.
Well, I chose it for a couple of reasons. I used to use a cane like Ross. I wasn't very good at it, and it was at a point where people hardly would talk to you with that cane. My brother John, who was totally blind as well, he had 2 dogs, and I thought, you know what? Let me try a dog. It would give me a chance to walk around a little bit better, and it has. It's given me a great deal of independence and dignity. So that's why I chose a dog.
So how do you feel about having the cane?
It's useful at times it's not. I mean, I've had to take instructions to use the cane. So, but currently I get by. It works for me.
Do you find people Steve was saying he felt people treated him differently when he sometimes had the cane. Do you feel that happens to you?
It does at times, yes.
What do people do?
I think you'll find that people are a little bit hesitant to approach you. I think they're a little bit shy in what they discuss with you and talk to you about. You know, just it's difficult for some people to understand or know how to approach a blind person or how to communicate with them.
I find the most fascinating part of this for the two of you is you both run multi-million-dollar organization, very in construction, industrial, commercial construction. I mean, you're in a business, it seems to me, that most people would say is a very visual kind of thing. You build a tangible product. You do something that people look at. How in the world do you run a business with a visual impairment at the level you are? How does that work for you, Ross?
I believe that our experiences from the time that we started and what we were able to learn while we did have sight has made a significant difference in how we handle the business today. Through other people's eyes, we have to visualize what they see or what they think they see, you know, on jobs and what have you and things like that. But I'd say the experience that we've had, you know, the enormous amount of information that we were able to grasp growing up in the business all these years.
Do you literally ask people, what do you see, to describe what they see?
Always.
Okay. So when you're there, you're saying, tell me what's going on.
That's right. Tell me what you see.
Okay. How does that work for you, Steve?
Well, I'd like to add to that what Ross is saying about the experience. We grew up in the business. We had some sight when we first started. In fact, we used to drive up until we were about 20 years old. We probably shouldn't have been driving, but we did. But I will say this, that growing up, you know, my mother passed away, our mother passed away when we were 7 years old. Our father raised us, basically. And he never had a sense of disappointment or dread over our disability. He taught us that failure was not an option. He taught us to be independent. He taught us to solve problems. He taught us to make tough decisions. I think that helped us a great deal. And also, you know, I've been married now for 36 years, and the support and the love that I've gotten from Georgianne and my two sons and my daughter-in-law, that support is very, very helpful in being successful in our business.
Is that similar for you, Ross?
I would have to agree with that. Yes.
Do you ever feel like people have taken advantage of you because they say, oh, he probably can't see what's going on anyway? Have you ever felt that way, Steve?
Yes, I felt that way, and I've actually had it happen firsthand and found out about it. But I would say the majority of people, the great majority of people, are good. They're good to us. My employees are good, our friends. Very, very few people take advantage of, at least I know from me. And if they do, so what?
Do you feel that's happened to you, that somebody like, I think I can pull one over on Ross?
It's happened. It's happened. But those times are far and few between. Like Steve says, most of the people are extremely helpful, very gracious, you know, very kind.
Do you feel like your instincts are at a higher point? I mean, you have kind of a gut feel for things when people are talking to you? Or?
I don't know that I could say that I have a greater instinct than other people. I think we have a more keen sense that we need to listen better and try to pick up on the way people are talking, you know, their voice inflection and the words that they choose and things like that, more so because we can't see the body language.
How do you both, in my estimation, and I think anybody who knows either one of you in this region, are seen as very successful in your businesses. How do you, Steve, define business success?
How do I define business success? I believe that when you are successful, you employ a lot of people, they make a good living with you, or they make a living, and longevity, having good customer relations, having customers for a long time, being able to move in and out of economic recessions, so to speak, or the highs and lows of business, and being able to weather the storm, as they say.
That's a good answer. How about you, Ross? What is your definition of success?
Well, let me just add to that. I believe that when the people that you surround yourself with are successful, your business is very successful. And, we work very hard in continuing education and promoting from within and what have you. And I think that these individuals that have worked with our company throughout the years have helped us tremendously to get through those tough times and be rewarded when we have good times and move forward. They truly care.
Well, speaking of tough times, you guys are an industry that takes a beating. I mean, it is tough. Construction is a tough business, and we've gone through some tough economic downturns over the years. Ross, what has made you weather through those, or how have you weathered through those tough times when other companies have folded?
Well, I think first and foremost that when we've had good years, we've made sure that we don't spend the money, that we've saved enough money to weather a storm. And I think another thing is that, which is really tough, is when you have to cut costs, you have to cut costs. And unfortunately, you have casualties when that happens, and sometimes you lose some good people, but it's the nature of the business.
Is that something your dad taught you also, in terms of save money for the rainy day, that kind of concept?
Oh, he always talked about saving for the rainy day. My dad was raised through the Depression, and that's what we heard a lot of.
So he knew
It
that.
was always save, save, save.
So,
Well, Keith, there were times when he would tell Ross and I, don't cash your check. We don't have enough money for payroll. Now, he had enough money for payroll, but that was his way of having us learn how to save. So after about 6 or 7 checks, I said, for crying out loud, I want to go out. I want to, go out and party a little bit. And he said, all right, go ahead and cash one.
so was he cashing his check?
Yes.
So he was cashing his. Okay.
Absolutely.
It was a little training ground.
That's right.
So how have you withstood the economic downturns? How do you get through those tough times?
Well, let me say this. The last 3 or 4 years are probably the toughest times that I've ever experienced in business. And how did we get through it? I think you have to maintain the basics in business. And Ross has already alluded to that. Number one, in construction, it's really important, try not to have any debt. And have that cash basis and have the cash on the side so that, when you have these downturns, it's naturally going to cost you more money to operate. And sometimes you're operating at a loss. There's no doubt about it.
How in the world do you operate a construction business with almost no debt when pieces of equipment are $50,000, $100,000, $250,000 worth that you've got tied up?
Well, you save. The way I would answer that as well is, as individuals and as family people, we are told or we're advised that you should keep at least 6 months or 1 year's worth of cash reserves in case something happens. And it's the same with the business. It's no different. It's no different whatsoever. So over time, you have to be able to put that away and hold on to it. And if you can't afford it, you don't spend it.
I'm going to shift away from the business just a little bit here, and I know both of you are very philanthropic. You both give back to the community a lot, but you've kind of chosen to do some different kinds of things. Ross, what's important to you, and why do you support the causes you support?
I think for the most part we're pretty spiritual in our family, and we have supported our church and the communities within the church. I also have a soft heart for people that are much less fortunate, that are homeless. So many of those organizations we have supported over the years.
Okay. And what kind of things have you supported, Steve?
Well, presently, in 2010, Georgiana and I established the Pangere Center for Inherited Retinal Diseases, which is located at the Chicago Lighthouse for people who are blind or visually impaired. And that is directed by world-renowned ophthalmologist and researcher, Dr. Gerald Fishman. So we're supporting his research. The other thing that I support is the Seeing Eye. I'm a trustee on the board of directors, where I received Hope, my guide dog. And after living with 23 other blind people for over a month, I couldn't tell you how much it helps those individuals. Many of them are very poor, and those dogs mean the world to them. I mean, they're their partner, they're their dog, they're the defender that dog is their friend, just like Hope is mine.
Well, why, you guys are kind of in a little different direction on this. So what drew you to the things that you're involved in? I mean, why did you kind of pick supporting what you've picked, Ross?
I don't know, just over the years, some of the homeless shelters, some of the battered women's shelters that we became familiar with at the time, we felt that there was a tremendous need to help support them, and we certainly did that, and we continue to do that, and we're close with our church and churches. My wife is from Bloomington, and we grew up in the Maryville Church, and I belong to the church in Valpo also, and we just find it gratifying to be able to help them.
Why did you go the direction you went?
Well, there's several directions that I've kind of gone, but in this particular one, I've gone in that direction because I understand the disability of blindness. I understand it. I can relate to it. I can talk to people about it. I think that we help people that have those disabilities that are struggling. I've done a lot of speaking in different groups, National Federation of the Blind or the Lions Club. I've had several people come to my office that have actually the same disease that Ross and I have. And they're two young boys, they're 10 and 12 years old, and they're at a stage of their life where they're actually almost totally blind. So, you try to help them. So in other ways, as far as the community, just like Ross, we support other things in this community. Of course, we grew up here, and you give back to the community that's been good to you.
So let me ask, Ross, I know you're also an organ recipient, and that's important to you. You want to say a little something about that experience or how that has affected you?
Well, it's in 2011 I found out that I needed a kidney transplant, and I was on dialysis for some time, not that long, about 9 months, and I decided that I just didn't want to live this way, and my wife and I sent out 435 some letters to organizations throughout the community, churches, and what have you, and a pastor from Griffith responded, got tested, and he blessed me with his kidney in 2012. And we recently threw a kind of a celebration, call it, in honoring him and with many of his people from his community, so that we could help raise some funds for the National Kidney Foundation.
Do you ever feel like, I'm going to ask both of you this, that you kind of get an unfair portion of problems? I mean, you guys are in a tough industry. You've got this blind issue, then you've got this health issue. I mean, you get both of you seem to get a lot thrown at you. Do you ever feel like this is really a little unfair?
No, I don't think there's that much more thrown at us than anybody else in this world.
Do you
I
ever feel
truly
that way?
believe that.
Well, I think there was a time, you go through anger, you go through denial, go through depression, and it takes a while before you take acceptance of it. So, there's times. Do I feel? I feel very fortunate. I feel extremely fortunate. God gave us a lot of gifts and talent, knowledge, and treasures, and life wouldn't be sweet unless you shared it with others, and that's how I feel about it now.
You guys are kind of philosophical here, and on the show. This is good. So tell me, back to the economy a little bit. I mean, how do you look at Northwest Indiana? I mean, what's your feeling about this region and kind of what's going on here as a business person who's heavily engaged for 40-some years? How do you see Northwest Indiana and what's going on economically here, Ross?
Well, I think over the years it's been good to us. We've had some tough times, there's no doubt. Looking forward right now, I would say that it's picked up tremendously in all facets of the business that we have. We're seeing a lot of activity, so we're very optimistic right now.
How are you seeing it, Steve?
Well, there has been a tremendous change these last few years. I know Ross has said it's picked up. I believe that it has picked up, but I don't think it's anywhere near it used to be. What I think concerns me is we are still steel-oriented in the area. not as heavily as we used to be, and the area has diversified quite a bit. I mean, we've got a lot of medical and health facilities and so on and so forth. But I am concerned about, you know, the global aspect of steel and the steel industry, because we're involved in the steel industry quite a bit.
We're down to the last couple of minutes, and I know both of you do some speaking in front of groups, and you like doing that. If there was a piece of wisdom you felt that you could share with our audience and young people today or whoever, what would you share with them, Steve, just about something I've learned in life?
Well, you know, it's an old saying that, you know, you have to make the best out of the hand you've been dealt with. And I would say that I've heard it said that you can be pitiful or you can be powerful, but you can't be both. You can't sit back and feel sorry for yourself. So move on, get over it, and you'll be successful.
What about you, Ross?
I'd have to say never give up. When you fall down, pick yourself up, dust yourself up, keep moving forward, and don't look back. And you just have to have that desire. You have to have that want in your heart.
So are we going to see, you guys going to ever retire? You're going to stick at this forever?
Absolutely not. I'm not going to retire.
Not going to retire?
I love what I'm doing.
How about you, Ross? You ever going to retire?
I'm going to retire.
You're going to retire?
Mm-hmm.
And do what?
Travel.
And travel.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and your favorite place to go next is?
My favorite place next? Well, I have a bucket list. You know, I'd like to go maybe next, after the first of the year, to visit my son who's going to move to Colombia. And then I would like to go to the Far East. So we shall see.
So what's your next adventure in the last few seconds, Steve?
My next adventure?
Yep.
My wife and I would like to take a trip down the Mississippi on one of those steamboats.
All right. This is good. Thank you both for being on the show. I've made some notes about which I've decided is the smartest and best looking. I'll tell you after the show's over, okay?
Okay.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right. I hope that you are noticing how we have been ending each of our shows a little differently. We like to hear your ideas and suggestions for comments and interaction. I want to personally thank Jim Flannery, Vince Galbiotti, and Dennis Hodges for show ideas. The last two shows came directly from their referrals. You can email us at focus@lakeshorepublicmedia.org or reach us through our website. Both are listed on your screen. Write it down or whip out your phone, grab your iPad, or log on to your computer right now and fire off those words of wisdom. Also, remember to tell your friends and neighbors that you can watch Lakeshore Focus on our website and view old episodes. Click on Lakeshore Public Television, scroll down to the awesome picture of me, click again on my face, and you will see a list of all the previous shows for your viewing pleasure. Join us at our next Friday evening at 7:30 for another Lakeshore Focus, when you will hear this closing. I'm Keith Kirkpatrick saying, make a positive difference in our world today.